Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's edition this episode of the Universal Magic Podcast. My name is John. My voice is a little shot, but we're joined always at the table by my good friend, Alyssa Dunham.
Hello, everybody.
And then Jeff, I don't think he'll mind, Alyssa, me sharing this
No.
news. Jeff is actually on assignment. He's taking his son home from the Disney College program, but we are joined by some spectacular Moments of Magic travel agents. We have Katie Sigler, and we have Marty Martinez. So,
Welcome.
yes, this is exciting because we are going to talk the OG Disney Park. And of course, if you want to plan a trip with us, momentsofmagictravel.com for everything you need Disney-wise. Like, we have it. We have cruises. Like, you name it, you think of it. We have some exciting stuff coming up, man. I cannot wait.
I agree with you, John. I'm super excited for what's coming up, and I'm very excited to have Katie and Marty because John and I are kind of novices or amateurs when it comes to Disneyland. So I have been one time, and John, I don't think you've been at all.
I have not, but there is something coming down the pike for the big man here. So yeah, I am excited for this.
So we brought our I don't know if I call you experts. Experts. You're our experts.
Oh, you're experts.
Total amateurs.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on. And
yes.
I was hoping both of you could tell us, like Katie, I know you just got back from Disneyland, and Marty, if I'm not mistaken, Disneyland's more of like your home park. Is that right? Or am I totally off on that? Can you hear me?
I would say, I'd want to say yes to that, but in all honesty, I think I love World a little bit more.
Okay.
And no judgment though, right? Like, I mean, I've never been, and it could be the same thing with Universal versus Disney. I've never been. Well, I've been the Universal once, but like, I'm sure once I go to Disneyland after like hearing this discussion, it'll be something that's really easy to like know where you're going, because there's so much to this park, even though it's so much smaller than Disneyland or Disney World. So like, I mean, yeah, that's kind of like, wow, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
So we're gonna be your again, we're gonna almost like make it like we're again the amateurs, and we need you guys to tell us everything. So again, I've been one time, and things have changed since I went 9 years ago. So I would love for some updates from you guys. So I know we have the two parks. We got Disneyland, California Adventure. So what do you guys feel just about, again, the OG Disney park? Like, what are your thoughts?
So I grew up going to Disneyland. So I'm from California, and so my family went as I was growing up, like before California Adventure existed. So that was my like OG park, and my love for Disney was started there. And so that all of my childhood memories, like before the age of like 13, were of Disneyland. And so I have this like recollection of what it was like when I was a child, but then I hadn't been back since then. So when we moved to the East Coast, California Adventure hadn't even opened. And so we were going to Disney World. And so since then, I mean, so for the last, 25 years, we've been going to Disney World. And so now I feel like I know that one really well. And so when going back to Disneyland, I was like, oh gosh, there's no way it's going to live up to this world of amazingness that Disney World is, because it's got 4 parks and all these resorts and all this stuff. And everybody talks about how small Disneyland is. I was like, yeah, they have another park, but there's no way. I was like, I remember how cute it was. I was expecting it all to be like super tiny, almost like you're walking into a miniature land, but it's not at all like that. It, that amazing magical feel that you get when you go to Magic Kingdom, Epcot, any of the world parks, you get that when you go to Disneyland. I mean, the only major difference I would say when you roll up to the parks is that it's surrounded by a city. So if you're not walking into Disney World, you're not driving onto a campus per se. You're walking down the street, and there's hotels and people live 5 minutes away from Disneyland, which is kind of amazing. So, I went in with that attitude, like, I hope it's going to be great. I'm not sure because I'm so partial to Disney World. And I was actually blown out of the water. And I had a blast. And it did bring back a ton of memories. There were things that I could look back on when I was younger and things that were similar. And there's so much that's changed that's similar to World that I love. But there's also some things that I think are unique and better than World as well. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's an amazing park to try.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get into those unique things because I think I am so used to World and what they have, and some things change here and there, but I feel like Disneyland just has so much to offer and so many amazing things over there.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Let's get the big difference out of the way, because the one complaint I hear, and I'll be the first to admit, I watch too many vloggers when they go to Disneyland for the first time. They're like, the castle's so small. First of all, John's pro tip of the day, do not watch vloggers. Watch them. Listen, watch them and consider what they're there for. They're there for the clicks and the views. I'll get off my soapbox, but anyway.
Okay, if I do remember anything from my one trip 9 years ago, it was I walked down there and I was like, that's it. But when you know the history of everything, you know why it's so small, what Walt's original image in his head was, which is essentially Cinderella's castle. Like, he wanted something that big, and just money wasn't available to make it that big. And so, and to see the details of what they did, that when you are right in front of the castle, it actually makes it look a lot bigger. So, which I think is really cool too. So, so when you're used to the East Coast, you're like, oh. But again, if you know the history of it and everything, it's actually quite amazing. So,
Marty, what do you think is the one big difference? What do you think as far as compare and contrast, the difference between, Disney World and Disneyland?
I think, well, I too grew up the same, going to Disneyland. And then there was this time period where I just didn't go at all. And so even after getting out of high school for me, I was just so busy with school and just a whole bunch of different things. But I kind of give the credit to my wife, because her and her family used to take trips over there quite often. And so that kind of became because her birthday's in January. And so that kind of became our thing to here's your Christmas present and your birthday present. We're going to go to Disney. We're going to go to Disneyland.
Can you give a tip to my husband, because my birthday is
Oh, man.
You're away, Marty.
Wow.
But and actually, when we started that tradition, it was right before COVID, and so then COVID happened, and I kind of had this huge fear of Florida, because of alligators. I don't know. It sounds really ridiculous, but I did, and I was we're never going there. And then COVID happened, and then I hear that we couldn't go to land anymore, and so then I was well, we might as well just try Disney World now. And so I truly fell in love with it. My wife will always be Disneyland all the time, but I would like to say there are a plethora of differences. I was trying to roll that story into everything, but I would say there are a plethora of differences, but I truly, truly love that. Yes, there are many differences, but I just feel uniquely, DCA, Disneyland, Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, they're all special and unique in their own ways. And I think that's what's really awesome about, Disney in itself. They're just amazing at parks and what they do and how they do it with the parks. And so there are similarities, i.e. Magic Kingdom and Disneyland, but it's so different in many, many ways. And of course they may have some rides that are similar, but I truly think they're just this vibe. The vibe is what really makes it all different as you're there. And so that's just kind of how I see it. So
yeah.
I think the walk, little things the walkways are a little bit more narrow in certain areas. The Main Street is much more narrow, and it seems in certain parts that it's a little bit busier at times because it's so much more compact. But other than that, like, you know, it doesn't necessarily feel small when you're there. Other than understanding what the castle looks like in Florida comparatively, like you in the moment, like it's small, but if you've never seen another castle, like you see a castle in the middle of the park and it's beautiful. But I think for me, the biggest difference, you know, when it comes, I mean, obviously they're both amazing theme parks and everything like that, but the walkability, the fact that you can go between two parks, like literally in a matter of minutes, was unbelievable. And the fact
rather
that
than
you
waste like an hour on
you don't have to get on a monorail, you don't have to get on a boat, you don't have to get on a sky rail or anything. Like, it's all literally right there, and you can make plans in one park and go to the next park, and it's just very easy to transition between the two. And that was really fun. Like, one of the nights that I was there, we closed down Disney California Adventure because they closed at 10, but Disneyland was open until midnight. So we closed that park down and went over to Disneyland, and we were there until it closed. So, like, the fact that you could do that so quickly, you didn't have to be like, oh, we have to time leaving Epcot so that we can get to, you know, it was just, that was really cool and convenient. I'll be perfectly honest.
I think my number one thing to any client that books Disneyland is get the park hopper. Like, a lot of times I'm totally like, okay, telling them, no, just take your time each park in Walt Disney World. But no, Disneyland is, I think, great for park hopping because it takes moments, like, really. And then it's so much easier for people who, like, maybe have the little ones that want to do most of their time in Disneyland, but they want to maybe hit a few of the big rides or Cars Land or something like that over on the other side. Like, that just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. I mean, I that surprised me, you know, in my mind. I still was thinking that Disneyland was a big park and things. I was like, there's no way that you can go back and forth like that. But it was really, really cool to be able to kind of make plans on both sides. Or, like, we were in Disneyland and we were like, I don't really want to eat over here right now, but there was a kiosk over in DCA that we really wanted to try. So we would go over there and we could go back and forth. That's something that you can't do at World, you know? So,
and, you know, the even extra bonus is that then they're also connected to downtown Disney.
Correct.
And all 3 Disney resorts. So you don't have to take any transportation anywhere if you don't want to. You can literally walk, like, the whole thing.
I did. Like, the Grand Californian has an entrance to downtown Disney that is like a walk to Disneyland. It also has a back entrance into DCA. So we never had to, like, leave Disney ever. I mean, it was really kind of neat to see how close. And then all of the, you know, even when we walked around and saw Disneyland Hotel and everything, all of that is so conveniently placed. But even if you don't stay on property, some of the amazing Good Neighbor hotels are still very walkable, and you don't have to use transportation. You know, I mean, not all of them right by there are great, but some of them are fantastic. And so it's very easy to get around no matter what.
No, we did. So the one time I went, we stayed at a Good Neighbor hotel. We stayed at a Marriott, and that's what we did. We just walked into the parks and stuff. But I will say, though, that I like the benefits. They have the early entry over there, right? Is it? It's also half an hour.
Half an hour.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, and like you said, then you have the entrances. Almost every hotel, I think, except Paradise / Pixar here, as it like updates, have character dining, like. So it's all just so convenient, and like, obviously then you get the Disney feels and stuff.
And I would say the character dining at Grand Californian was one of the best character breakfasts I've ever been to. The characters at Disneyland were so interactive. I have never had that kind of an experience where, I mean, part of it might just be because because of COVID and things like that. Maybe they were standoffish at other times, but like, they got in, they took videos with us, I mean, even on the streets of Disneyland, like walking around, like they interact and stuff. That's a different feel as well. Sorry, I jumped into a different difference.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. So, like,
we do this a lot on this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We go all over the place.
We're bad.
Okay.
Jeez.
But no, you bring up something I think I remember as a child at Walt Disney World was characters roaming, and that's not a thing at Disney World anymore, but it is still at Disneyland. And so, like, you could be walking anywhere in Disneyland, and then Peter Pan just pops up and starts up a conversation with you, like, no big deal.
Like Jeep would walk by, and like characters that you don't normally see. You know, like we were walking through Fantasyland, and Rapunzel just randomly walked by, and like she'll stop and talk to a little girl. Like that is just so cool. They don't have to wait in a line, you know. And kids, I mean, kids do crowd and they want to get up there and stuff, but it was a very like off the cuff kind of, I don't know, more realistic feel of the character aspect, as opposed to like waiting in line and waiting for your picture to be taken and things like that. You know, I loved that.
Yeah, and they love doing this thing where they like to hold your hand and walk with you like on different sections of the park.
That's amazing.
I think that's truly awesome that they're doing things like that. It just makes your experience so like magical, of course.
That is like the magic of a Disney park, I feel like, are those things. So
I feel like just hearing about the things I've heard about Disneyland is the magic is not lost, because that was Walt's original intent.
Oh, yeah.
Know? Like I don't want to say I idolize Walt Disney. I respect the heck out of him because of what he created. You know, so like it's just one of those incredible things. But anyway, we talked about the meet and greets. One thing I miss that I know that Disney World doesn't have anymore is Toontown.
Yeah.
So I mean, like they don't have Toontown anymore. Like I remember it was either 93, 94, getting my picture taken with Mickey Mouse and then hauling up to the front of the park just to like show the picture of like just to say I got my picture taken with Mickey Mouse. Like I imagine that place is very much still, I don't know if I'm aging myself, but I'm like pretty sure that like that's what that's like. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got that same feel, like it's interactive. It's, you know, that's the thing I remember is just pulling up on it right as you're pulling up on the trains. You know,
and it just got a refurb, right?
Yeah, it's been redone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but still has the classic, the houses and everything.
Yeah, the houses are still the same. Like, I mean, they're just kind of brighter, at least from what I remember. The Roger Rabbit ride is still the same. While I was writing it, I was like, my kids would not know what this is about, but cool. I'm glad it's
I bet you there's a bunch of like, I don't know, like hints for adults and stuff like that. Because like I remember Roger Rabbit when I was a kid. Yeah, like there's a lot of like.
I remember when that ride opened at Disneyland, and I remember my friend and I were so pumped about it. And as I was riding through it, I was like, there's no way that my kids would like this. You know, like, I was like, this is so reminiscent of my childhood.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, I can see that it, like, that would be lost on some kiddos. But it was so cool to walk through because they still have all the things that you can open up, and they yell at you and stuff like that when there's somebody hiding in the mailbox, and like, you know, things you can push and stuff. So that's all really fun still for the kids. You can see kids that are surprised when that happens. They're not necessarily thinking it's going to be like that, and then you'll see this line of kids come up and like pull the things because they want to hear it for themselves. And you know, it's super cute.
Yeah.
I think I heard too, so Disneyland, as far as I know, does not have a hub grass like Walt Disney World does, but Toontown now has its own version, I guess, of hub grass, right? Like it's got like a grassy area.
Yes.
That went viral with the little picnic basket thing that they did.
I got one.
You did? Okay, I didn't know if they were still doing it.
It's so stinking cute. It was so hard to travel back with, but it is so cute. So yeah, you can sit out there. You can have your little like snack. So you can choose like 2 or 3 snacks, whatever, that go in the picnic basket, and it comes with a blanket. And then you eat your little cheese stick and.
That's so fun. One of you mentioned earlier, I think it was you, Katie, about how there are some of like the same quote unquote rides between East and West Coast, but this is my amateur move going 9 years ago. I didn't know that the same rides were different. Like there were some differences. So can you guys go through the ones you recall? Like what do we have at World that's also Disneyland but is different, and what do you like about it? I've heard that a lot of people say they like all of the Disneyland versions better. So I don't know your takes on that.
I'll let Marty.
I'd have to say, okay, so like Haunted Mansion, there's this like the library scene at World. That's actually not in Disneyland. I think I feel like it's a little bit better in that sense, just because I feel like it's a little more visual. There's a lot more, I think, that comes with the Haunted Mansion. There's, however, though, the part of the Haunted Mansion that, and I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, the gentleman that's holding the lantern, they don't have that, right, at Disney World, where his like head pops up in there.
It's coming. Like, they've announced it. They don't know. Well, I mean, there's a rumor about where it is, and like the Disney community is just up in arms, as it happens all the time, that it's not going to fit well with the story.
We'll see.
I don't care. Like, as long as the Hatbox Ghost, which is the main protagonist in the Haunted Mansion, is in that ride, I am totally content with that. So,
gotcha. Yeah. But was that what you were thinking of, the Hatbox?
Yes, absolutely. But I'd like to say that I think the Haunted Mansion there at Magic Kingdom is a little bit better. But then, however, they don't do the Nightmare Before Christmas like layover, right?
No.
Yeah,
right.
that's
they do a holiday one. I know that they have a holiday layover, but like overlay. But I didn't get. I mean, obviously, I didn't get to see it, so I haven't seen that kind of updated.
Yeah, that's really, really amazing. Like how the transformation is, even like how, like, you know, how like when you go into the first part of the ride and you like walk by all those like pictures that kind of like change. Those even are different. Like you kind of see Zero like gliding between pictures, which I think is really like awesome how they do that. The whole like graveyard scene is like completely different. It's like the snowy hill that's in. Yeah, it's really, really awesome. It's such a unique experience how they did it. They added Sally, and you know, just the whole thing is awesome how they were able to like incorporate it, you know, with that. And I don't know if they do this, but like the dance scene that you like look down, right, the ballroom thing. I guess they have like a gingerbread. Do they do that there too? At Magic World.
Not at World.
Not at World. No, the World.
So they have like this gingerbread house there on like the table, and like you can, as you're going through that area, like you smell nothing but like gingerbread. It's really awesome.
Cool.
She just blew my mind.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's quite a visual sight to see. It's really, really awesome.
Dang, I have like a goal to go to Disneyland like right at the end of Halloween time, and then to go to Hawaii for like a week or two, like at Lonnie, and then come back and do Disneyland just in time for all the Christmas stuff. I like have just like a big thing.
Alyssa, like, it seems like you're always traveling.
I know.
Yeah, I told at the end of 2022, I told my husband, I was like, 2023 will be our rest year. We're not gonna do too much. Yeah, totally jinxed.
I don't believe you. I totally don't believe you.
No, in 2024, I'm gonna say the same thing, and then I'm gonna
and you're gonna fail hard.
Yep. Anyway, but that's a lot. That is not happening anytime soon. I'm not going to Disneyland and Aulani, but one day we'll see. Anyway, okay, off topic. My other ride that I didn't do, and again I know now it's different, is Space Mountain. They have World is one per row, Space is 2, and they have Hyperspace Mountain overlay at certain points of the year as well too, which is like also a goal. I want to do that.
Okay,
as well.
so I have to know this, being a guy who's 6'10". I compare getting out of Space Mountain to comparing the my wife had a Toyota Yaris. Very uncomfortable. So I gotta know if there's more leg room, because when I go, I honestly need to like pack ibuprofen and kind of plan accordingly. So
100% there's more space.
Yes. So
it's like sitting in it. I mean, it's 2 by 2, right? So it's like sitting in a regular roller coaster, and I think it's smoother. So I can't. I love Space Mountain World, but I cannot ride it anymore at my age.
Yeah, same.
It gives me a headache sometimes, and especially if you're in the back, I feel like it's super rough. And I love it. I love the top twists and turns. My kids loved it. But I am of that age that I cannot do it anymore.
It is so uncomfortable.
And I mean, I'm only 5'3", so it's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
You can imagine if I was taller.
So,
but the one at Disneyland I loved. It was so smooth. I rode it several times. It was really neat.
That's great to hear.
I will tell you, there is one horror story I have from riding Space Mountain at Disney World. So, like, I had a phone with me, and it fell when I got out. So, like, they had to gingerly, like, shut the whole... Well, they didn't shut the whole ride down, but there was a delay. And then they had to take, like, those claws that you, like, pick up trash with and try to gingerly get it. Otherwise, it would shut the whole system down. Like, that ride is so... Like, I love Space Mountain. My hips and back hate it, but I love it. So, like... I mean, come on. It's like, all right.
It's pretty
Ouch.
old.
it's
now
there.
that, so if you want that same type of feel at Disneyland, if you do like being cramped and having a rough ride, then you need to go on the Matterhorn, because that's
yes. And I was going to ask about that, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'll be like, nope, tap it out. Like, nope.
Okay,
so.
but it is awful in a way, like Space Mountain, but it's also more fun. Like, I think because it's not in the pitch black, like you see where you're going and everything. So, like, I feel like it's Space Mountain and Mount Everest combined.
Correct.
Yeah. So
I think Everest is better.
However,
and that's just in my opinion. Because Everest is this, again, like a smooth roller coaster. I do like I like the twists and turns and stuff. It's just a bigger ride. But Matterhorn, like, what's cool is the nostalgia of Matterhorn. When you're in line, you can picture people on day one riding. Like, that's an original ride. It's really neat to see that, So that's a little different than Everest.
Yes. So now that we've we haven't really talked DCA, but we'll save that for maybe the latter part of the show. Let's talk. So you've got an idea of the OG part of the park. Let's talk about where you're staying. Like, you stayed, I believe, at the recent trip you did, Katie. You stayed at the Grand Californian, correct? Mm-hmm. So why don't you just wait? That's that's just wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm planning this trip. Next year. I'm like, Grand Californian. Nope, not in the budget. Let's just put. I mean, Grand Californian is. I don't even want to call it the Grand Floridian of the West Coast. It's nice. It's absolutely gorgeous. Everything I've seen. Mm-hmm. Like, there's really no compare and contrast. Let's be honest with Disneyland hotels and Disney World hotels.
Yeah, they're all completely different.
They're all completely different. I mean, the thing that with Disneyland hotels is they're basically all deluxe. I mean, that's if I'm wrong, I mean,
go for it, Katie.
Yes.
Go for it, Katie.
Paradise Pier, soon to be Pixar
Pier. Or Pixar Point, yeah.
I don't know what they're changing it to. It is. I mean, it may come with a deluxe or moderate to deluxe price, but it does not feel like a deluxe resort, in my opinion. They're redoing it, but it still doesn't have that feel. And so I wouldn't necessarily consider that.
Would you say more of a moderate?
Moderate on because it still hasn't been completely redone yet, so it's still very dated currently. And even seeing what they're updating, I don't think that it's gonna have that bang for how when they redid Coronado, and did the tower, how beautiful that entry is, and you just it's got that wow factor, but it's a moderate resort, so you feel like it's deluxe light almost, and it just gives you that fun feel because it's so nice. Pixar does, or Paradise Pier does not have that feel, in my opinion. And so at this point, and right now they're not even discounting it and stuff like that. So in terms of benefits and bonus and things like that, it's a little bit farther away. It does have a back entrance to California Adventure that you can use, but you still have to cross the street to get to it, so it's a little awkward. It doesn't have the deluxe feel like Disneyland Hotel and Grand Californian have. In my opinion.
Yeah,
I'll be curious once the renovations are done. For
yeah,
sure.
I mean, they showed us a little bit, but and you know, the lobby is being completely redone, but it looks almost like the contemporary resort, like like that
like
kind
that
of
feel, like yeah, okay. Whereas like you think like the Grand Floridian, right? Like classy, like elegant and stuff, where you might get that.
Californian is it was built by the same guy that built the Wilderness Lodge. So it's got that same feel. It's gorgeous. It's very rustic feeling. It's got big fireplaces and all that stuff. So
I love the feel of that resort. Like,
yeah, it's really nice. You know, and it's the convenience of it. Obviously, we've already talked about that, but
yeah,
it's a gorgeous resort. And you know, we got to see some of the signature suites there and at Disneyland Hotel, and those are just impeccable. So, I mean, and I will say, of the 3 resorts, I liked the pool at Grand Californian, but the pool at Disneyland Resort was so neat. The monorail water slide is so fun, and if you get a premium view room, you can see the pool and some of them, and you have like floor-to-ceiling windows in the rooms. See that pool, like that was really cool. Here, I'm doing something right now, Bubba.
Marty, have you, when you and your wife go, do you stay at a Disney hotel or do you do Good Neighbor Hotel, or what do you guys do?
I think we've done more Good Neighbors. I have yet to stay at any of the Disney hotels. They are pretty expensive. But I mean, we're always like, especially the Grand Californian, we're always there all the time because they have fantastic restaurants. There's the Storytellers Cafe, which I think is really, really awesome, especially for your like brunch time, and character dining experiences. That's a good one. They have the Grand Craftsman, which we love to drink there, and have some good pizza, you know, good salads, things like that. And you can just eat right there by the pool there that they have there, which I think is an amazing experience. And you know, like Katie was saying, you can easily just, you know, if you don't find anything at DCA, you can just easily like just go right there into the hotel and just try something there, or even at like downtown Disney, and then just go right back into the park and then continue the rest of your day. But they also do have really, really awesome Good Neighbor hotels. I think I've stayed as close as like literally right across the street. I think I've stayed like probably maybe like 2 miles outside of it, away. So I mean, I like to walk, so I mean, it really is not like a huge bother to me. But
yeah,
I know for a lot of people, like being really, really close might be really important. But I've stayed at quite a few. There's the Hilton Anaheim Convention. That's a really, really beautiful hotel. It's like on the side that would be facing the DCA. There would be, I stayed at the Tropicana Inn this last time. That one's right across the street. That's a really, really nice hotel. I've stayed at the Best Western, Raffles and Suites. They've got really, really great family rooms. In just my family, there's 10 of us. So it's me and my wife and all our kids. So yeah.
God bless you, man. Wow.
Mad props.
Have you taken all of them before?
Yeah, we do quite often. Quite often.
We need to bring you. We need to do another Disney with Big Families episode and bring you back. That would be awesome, man. Yep. That's awesome. So, you mentioned this is gonna be my quick little plug. So all of those Good Neighbor hotels, all of the Disneyland hotels, we as agents can book for you. So we usually don't recommend Good Neighbor on Walt Disney World because there's so many options of a Disney property that fits pretty much any budget. But for Disneyland, because there are only 3 Disney resorts, we can help with all those Good Neighbor hotels. Yes. So,
and of course, to book, momentsofmagictravel.com. I'd put the graphic up, but it's going to block someone, and it'll just not be good.
So, Mike Wazowski, you.
Yes. Watching, always watching. So, all right. Now let's go back to DCA because I cannot wait. There's so many things about this park I cannot wait to just experience. I mean, Avengers Campus. Come on. Like, there's so much to this. And, like, I mean, again, the Disney community went hard when they got rid of Tower of Terror and put a Mission Breakout in.
I hear it's amazing, though. So, and that it was worth
the ride. It really is.
So
it's amazing.
Sherelle has a great story about this because she was with me when I went on it the first time, because I am a Tower of Terror fan. So it's like from when MGM opened and it was a big deal. Like, I am a huge fan and I ride it at least 2 or 3 times every time I go. And so she was like, let's go do Guardians. I was like, meh, it's just gonna be Tower of Terror. And I was like, okay. And the line was like 30 minutes or something. I was like, I guess I'll wait. It's fine. And I'm not kidding. It blew my socks off. That thing was ridiculous. And she just started laughing at me because, I mean, you think that something like, I was expecting exactly like the same process, but it is not like that at all. It's like Tower of Terror on steroids. And I laughed and screamed and just it is the best. It was so much fun.
One of the things I got to know, was Chris Pratt more convincing than Cosmic Rewind? Because his performance, he looked like he nailed it.
Oh, I thought he was great.
Listen, I'm going off of what I hear and like what I read. Like, listen.
I will be honest, it's hard when you're so distracted by the ride itself. It's hard to really focus on everything. But I find him very convincing, and it might just be because I think he's attractive. But
yes.
Just saying what we're all thinking.
I mean,
it is what it is.
But just in general, Avengers Campus, though, in general, I think that sadly, at least in the near future, is something we're never going to get on the East Coast. So, to have that and, just, I mean, it looks incrable. I don't know. When I went, it was still the Bugs Life, area.
Well, no, it's not that anymore.
No. So, but I'm wondering, I just wonder, is it as immersive? Kind of like Galaxy's Edge, I feel like there's a very fine line of when you're entering that area and you don't feel like you're in the rest of the park. Is that the same for Avengers Campus, or is it more just like a here it is kind of thing?
I don't think it's as immersive as Galaxy's Edge. You definitely know you're in a different part of the park. And at DCA, you don't necessarily get the land sections feel like you do at California Adventure. Yeah, you don't get the land section off. It's kind of more of a flow through. At least that's how I experienced it. So we kind of just happened on it. We walked up and we're like, oh, this is the Avengers Campus. So it's not like there's a big sign or anything like that. And there's awesome things in it, but it's not necessarily as immersive as it could be probably. And I've actually heard a lot of people talking about that, how it's not quite as great, at least the Disneyland people who have had it for a little bit longer than everybody else that is just now experiencing it. But their feelings are a little bit that it's not quite up to what it could be. We saw the Doctor Strange show, and it wasn't super amazing that we were like, oh wait, you gotta go see that show, little things like that. But at the same time, you're walking down the street and Spider-Man's flying over your head, or while you're on Tow Mater, you can see him flying around on a thing. So that's cool, and we ran into the Wakanda general and stuff. So the character walk-arounds and stuff was just like Disneyland, and that was immersive. They did this whole Wakanda presentation and tried to teach people how to do their dance and thing. That was really neat, but it wasn't quite the design itself is not super oh boom, you're in the Avengers.
Got it. Do you agree, Marty?
You could easily miss some things there. I mean, if you're not really like paying attention to a lot. I mean, because for a while I didn't even know that like the Doctor Strange thing. I didn't even know that the Doctor Strange thing was there until like I had seen like a vlogger like mention it, and then I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was there. Like, and then so the last time I went, I was looking for it, but unfortunately I didn't get to do it either. But I mean, like they have the shawarma thing there, which I didn't realize was like a Avengers thing until I like saw like somebody say like, oh, they're eating shawarma.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that was an Avengers.
The end credit. Yep.
Yeah.
I really thought it was random. Avengers. I was like, why do they have shawarma here? Like, I was like, what is this? I was trying to figure out how it was connected somehow until then.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it doesn't feel like how Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is, you know, you're actually in this like immersive area. No, it's just it's like Spider-Man zone, and then like, you know, some like area between it.
Guardians, yeah.
Right. And then it's like the headquarters, the Avengers headquarters. They'll have like some fights, like Black Widow will fight like some guys like on there, and it looks pretty cool. And then even after that, there's the building where they have Mission Breakout.
But you know, the one area that I do think is super immersive is Cars Land.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Radiator Springs.
So cool.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I wasn't even a Cars fan when I went. Like I just didn't really care for it, and I still loved it and still enjoyed it. And now I'm a really big Cars fan because my son loves them. And so like I really want to take him like see Radiator Springs and like go on Radiator Springs Racers and stuff. Like I feel like Radiator Springs Racers is Test Track but elevated. Yeah. Like it's so much better, I think. So that's just my opinion. But Cars Land, so good.
And the food in Cars Land was great too. They have like the cones where you can get different cone type of food and stuff, like mac and cheese and stuff. You eat it out of a cone, and it was really, I loved it. I thought that was really neat.
That's the one thing Disney does with theming is they get the food thing right. I mean, it's absolutely like, you know.
And Disneyland food, I think, is also elevated. I think compared, especially snacks, like they're elevated compared to Disney World.
Yes. So my comment about that is actually, I think that the snacks at World are what that's what I get excited about, are the snacks, because they're, you know, like they have the really interesting, unique things that you can get at the different carts and things. Whereas I feel like my meals that I was able to have, because of the fact that their quick service is not your typical hot dog and French fries. It's actual like chef inspired type meals. And I thought that was so cool because I thought I could actually have a unique meal for my lunch or my dinner rather than hot dog, French fries, and ketchup, you know? So, or with a funny name, at least in my opinion. So I thought I think, and it, all of it's tasty. I love to eat at Disney no matter what, but.
This was gonna be my pro tip of the day. So if I have a Disneyland client, so their dining reservation system is different in that you have to book each individual day, and you can't book the entire length of your trip. So these were my top hot ticket restaurants. You can tell me if you guys want to add anything to this list, but the ones that if you want them, you need to book it right at 6 a.m. Eastern time in order to get it. So Blue Bayou, Lamplight Lounge, the Plaza Inn, particularly for breakfast with Minnie, Napa Rose, which that's that whole princess experience, and then Storytellers Cafe. Those are like my top ones for my clients. I don't know if there's any you would add.
Trader Sam's.
They accept reservations in Disneyland for
really difficult to get that one.
Yep.
And I'm sure Tiana's Palace is going to be.
I wore my Tiana shirt for that.
No, I think
always
hit it all. You know, at least in what I experienced, those were the top. The Lamplight Lounge was fantastic.
Yeah, that was also not there when I went because it was still Paradise Pier when I went, and it didn't switch over to Pixar Pier yet. So
you need to go back.
I need to go back so bad.
It needs to happen at some point. So, all right. So wrapping up, we kind of covered all the bases here. Like the one thing that Disneyland does incredibly well, from what I've heard, they have like I remember Johnny, one of our original hosts, like glowing about Oogie Boogie Bash. Like that is a must do when you go there. So like, you know, there's Oogie Boogie Bash, there's Sweethearts Night, there's Pride Night, there's Throwback Night, Star Wars Night, Princess Night. I mean, there's so much to it, and like that's kind of like the small, you know, like aspect of it. Yeah, it's the smallest park, but man, they have some big parties. So, you know,
have you either of you guys done any of the after parties or the holiday parties or anything?
Yes, I have been to Grad Night. I have been to the Sweethearts Night. But I haven't been to Pride Night or the Oogie Boogie Bash. I have been there though during Halloween time, but just not specifically to the bash.
And that's a really hard ticket to get, from what I've heard.
It is.
It's really hard.
There's a lot of drama about it this year too.
Yeah, always. So.
And I'm wondering. I really hope they didn't announce it. As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong. They're not at the moment doing the Christmas after party again.
Not currently. They have not announced it yet.
Yeah, which I had clients who went not last year but the year before, and they loved it. They thought it was incredible. And again, they have all the Christmas overlays, so not just like Haunted Mansion, but it's a Small World.
Small World has an amazing Christmas overlay that people come from everywhere to see. So like that was, people kept talking about that constantly, that it just looks so different because Small World there is outside. Not inside. So it's just a cool clock tower and stuff. So I can imagine how amazing that looks. And a little tip is that you can actually see the fireworks projections on Small World, which a lot of people don't know. So if you can't get a good spot in front of the castle, you can go stand in front of Small World and you can see all of the projections. You can't necessarily see when Tinkerbell flies, or it was the Blue Fairy and Baymax when I was there, but you can't really see that, but you can see the fireworks, you can see the projections and everything there. So is
it the same? So like the Disney 100 newest show, like is it the same exact projections essentially?
No, it was different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was different.
That's cool though, still.
Yeah, it was cool.
Okay. We're speaking of, so Disney 100 is happening right now at Disneyland. It's not, there's a little bit going on at Disney World, but not too much. Like, how was that, Katie, just being there for that?
Oh, everything's silver. It's super cute. All of the characters have their Disney 100 outfits, which is really adorable. And then they have little spots all over the parks with their with the characters, with the just little statues that are, I think they look different during the year, when it's not like that, but they've painted them all green or silver, and they've got the Disney 100 sign on it. So, and there's a ton of souvenirs and everything like that you can get that are super adorable. So, it's definitely all over the place at Disneyland right now.
Yeah.
But it sounds
Disney 100 cupcakes. Like, everywhere we went, it was like a Disney 100 cupcake was like thrown at us.
Literally just chucking cupcakes. Happy 100, everybody!
Oh no! It just fell into my mouth again.
Oh no! Darn it!
Dang it!
Have either of you used Genie Plus over there? Because I hear it's better.
It is better. So much better. And the DAS was awesome. A friend of mine that I met said that the DAS is better than at World. But yeah, no, the system, at least in my opinion, was so easy to navigate. And because you can go between the parks so easily, like I was able to do, like you can park hop after 11. So I would book my Genie Plus stuff for after 11 at Disneyland if I was in DCA, and like back and forth. Like that was so cool. And it tells you when you can book again. You can't book your first one until you walk into the park, and then 2 hours later. But it tells you when you can do it. And then once you use your Genie Plus pass, you can book another one. So you're constantly able to stack a little bit, and you can stack them for later in the afternoon and evening. But you have to wait. You can't. It's not like at Disney World where you can kind of choose a time. You have to wait till that time is offered.
Gotcha.
When it comes up on the app. So you keep checking back and seeing, like, because I would get like if I knew that I wanted to go on a credit coaster or something, I would get like an 11 o'clock. But if I know I'm not going to be able to get there until 2, I would keep checking back until around 2 is available, and then you can switch it out. It's
like the old Fast Pass system, how you used to be able to do
exactly.
The Max Pass, which is your phone. Right?
Yeah.
Womp womp. Chapek. Anyway. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to just wind it down here. Again, Marty, how can people get in touch with you if they want to book a trip with you?
I have an Instagram, a Facebook, a TikTok. I think I'm Marty at MOMT. On TikTok, I'm Marty MOMT. On Facebook, I'm Marty at MOMT. That's my handle for all around social media platforms. Marty at momentsofmagictravel.com. Just let me know. I love going to the OG Disneyland, so
And do you specialize in anything other than Disney? Is there anything else that you help book?
Yes, Universal was the other
Awesome.
one that I do as well.
Great.
Yeah.
What about you, Katie?
Yeah, my Instagram is KatieSMOMT, and that's my Facebook as well. Katie Sigler, Moments of Magic Travel. And then Katie S at momentsofmagictravel.com for email. Yeah, and I specialize in mostly Disney Cruise Line, but I also do some Royal Caribbean and Universal as well.
So,
thanks, guys.
And Alyssa, everyone knows how to get in touch with you because you're everywhere on social media. It's crazy. Anyway, so I gotta throw my Jeff in as my favorite co-host, other than Jeff. So anyway, for God, I mess this up every time. For Katie, for Marty, for Alyssa, I'm John. Well, I hope you have a great night, great week, great whatever. Stay magical. Have a great one.
Bye, y'all.